It's Monday, July 10th, 2023. I'm going to get right into it today. A lot to talk about. Jotted down a bunch of notes here that I want to go over with all of you. Feel free to comment about anything you want to comment about. But first, I want to start by responding to a comment that I got earlier. And unfortunately, I cannot find it. But to paraphrase, this delusional individual said that I need to stop promoting violence, which that's the last thing I would ever promote. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure people are not victims of violence, that they're not around violence, that they avoid violence at all costs. That's why if you have food and water stored at your house, when the lights go out, when the power goes out, you don't have to go to the Walmart. You don't have to go to these dangerous places. You can stay home, you can stay safe, and you can avoid being in violent environments. This gentleman also went on to say that I'm talking that there's going to be some Mad Max type of scenario, and says, LOL, laugh out loud. To that individual, you are so ignorant, you are so delusional. Take a look in any major city in America right now and tell me right now that it does not resemble a Mad Max society. We got people running around on mopeds, shooting at people. We have people pushing people on subway tracks to get run over by trains. We have people sucker punching people in subways. We have people just going in and stealing everything out of a 7-Eleven, out of a gas station. We have people going into Walgreens, Walmarts, any store, you name it, running in, taking whatever they want and leaving. People being assaulted every day. People being victims of crime every day. And you think that we're not going to see a Mad Max society? Mister, we're already in it. This is how delusional people are, that they don't even see what's happening right in front of their face. Again, you don't have to take my word. You don't have to listen to me. I can drive 2 hours and be in downtown LA right now. I can be in Skid Row, and I can tell you right now, it looks way worse than any Mad Max movie you've ever seen. You can go to Portland, Seattle, Chicago, Baltimore, New York. Some of the most heinous crimes on the planet are taking place right now in these cities. These cities look like war zones. And this delusional, ignorant person believes we're not going to see this stuff. It's already happening. You're already living in a Mad Max society right now, mister. Wake up. Please wake up. Anyways, I digress. Let's get into some other things happening. But what do you think? How are the cities in the United States of America looking to you? Does this look normal to you? A war zone? Crime-infested psychopaths everywhere? People just shooting at people for no reason, stabbing people, stabbing dogs, knocking down old people, running people over, stealing anything they want from any store that they want, stealing cars, stealing catalytic converters. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So I'm going to leave it there, but comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Is this the society that you grew up in? Is this acceptable to you? Is this normal to you? Looks a lot worse than Mad Max to me. Home prices are hitting new highs again as high rates put the squeeze on supply. This is on CNBC. They're trying to make it that everything's going to be okay in the housing market because we just don't have enough inventory. Prices are hitting all-time new highs. And I disagree. I really do. Listings are down. Inventory is down, yes. But you got mortgage rates now skyrocketing. And you have qualified buyers now. The pool of qualified buyers is shrinking. They're far and few between. So what are you going to do when you have no inventory of qualified buyers because people are losing jobs, their wages, real wages, are not keeping up with inflation, and they are financially getting themselves into very, very big trouble. The economic collapse today. Do you remember the chaos that underwater properties caused in 2008 and 2009? Well, it's starting to happen again. It says here, we have never seen, or we never seem to learn our lesson. Our leaders created the biggest housing bubble of all time, and when it burst, the entire globe experienced great financial pain. So, Did they learn from their mistakes and fix the system back in 2008? No. Instead, they created even a bigger housing bubble. And now we're beginning to see problems, and millions are going to face serious implications, ladies and gentlemen. Think about all these people that went out and bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses so they could just Airbnb them. We're beginning to see home values come down. U.S. home values have plummeted by $108.4 billion this year. The average borrower saw their home equity plummet by $5,400 in the first quarter of 2023, according to this article on the economic collapse. That's compared to last year. Washington, California, Utah were affected the most. Home values in Washington state dropped by an average of more than $74,000 over the past year. Some areas are not being affected as much as others, but this is going to become a very big issue. Another problem is, as I said earlier, is going to be finding qualified buyers in a market where we're going to see continued rise in mortgage rates. Today, bankrate.com, I saw 7.38% for a 30-year fixed. And that means that the average buyer who's typically not going to put down 20%, doesn't have perfect credit, these people are going to be paying 8.5%, maybe even more. Who is going to do this, ladies and gentlemen? Also, as I said earlier, Airbnbs, they're not renting out like they did in many cities around the country. Airbnb is down 50% in revenue. This is going to be another problem because if people cannot generate revenue off these Airbnbs, they cannot make the mortgage payments on these homes. We have between 15 and 16 million homes in shadow inventory right now that are not being lived in. They're vacation homes, they're Airbnbs. You want to know where the inventory went? The inventory went to Airbnb. How long do you think this Airbnb sector is going to last before people start running to the exits and throwing these homes on the market? Mortgage rates soar to highest level for the year. Bankrate.com, 7.38 on a 30. As I said, most people are paying way above that. And here's one on Fox Business. We were just talking about this. Airbnb bookings dip in Austin, San Francisco, propping doom loop fears. This, I think, is really going to develop into a very big problem for the housing market. I mean, think about where we're at. Commercial real estate is absolutely plunging. Home sales are plunging across the nation. Okay, home prices are still staying somewhat up, steady. Some areas going up, some areas going down. But across the board, it's not coming down as much as many would think at this point. But we have a war of attrition here now between buyers and sellers. How long can the sellers hold out and how long can the buyers hold out? I can tell you as a buyer, I can hold out as long as I have to. But I think sellers are going to be in a much different situation, a much different position, because at some point, when you're sitting on a handful of Airbnbs, at some point when you have to raise capital, at some point when you get a divorce and you don't have two incomes paying on that house, only one, you're going to have to sell. At some point when you're a landlord and you finally evict these tenants who haven't paid you in 3 years, you're out of the business, you're going to sell. So let's not forget 1.7 billion homes under construction, new homes with the home builders. So at some point, I think the seller here is going to lose and the buyer is going to win. And if you're a buyer, I don't give financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. If you have to move tomorrow, do whatever your heart desires. Me, I'm going to be extremely patient and I'm going to weather this out as long as I can, because personally, I do believe that the sales are coming. You cannot have debt to income ratios like we're seeing right now last much longer. This is completely unsustainable. What's the average home buyer? 7.5% of their income is going to a house. You look at mortgage payments, I think right around 39.9% is the national rate that people are paying income to their mortgage. 39.9% of their income is going to a mortgage payment. And they're buying a house 7.5 times what they make per year. This, ladies and gentlemen, is 110% unsustainable. So when you look at how many people are losing jobs and how many more people are going to lose jobs, when you look at mortgage rates, real mortgage rates are over 8% right now, and you look at the debt to income ratios and you look at people's income versus what they're paying for a house, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. If people did this, 40, 50 years ago, it wasn't even allowed. You couldn't even do this. But this is unsustainable. People are literally one paycheck away from a very, very big accident here. And when you look at 60 to 70% of this country living paycheck to paycheck, how are they going to keep their house if an emergency arises? So it's just common sense, ladies and gentlemen, that this cannot sustain, and it will not. Here's another one today from the Hedge. Shocking drop in auto loans result in weakest consumer credit print since 2020. The consumer is now hitting the brick wall. I think we're going to see things happen that most thought would never happen, but it's going to happen. It has to happen. Things must collapse. They will collapse. This cannot go on, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. consumer credit grew by a paltry $7.24 billion, down more than 50% from the downward revised $20.3 billion in April. The non-revolving sector, student and auto loans, saw a drop of $1.3 billion. Wait till we see a reverse in credit card debt. That's gonna pretty much tell you when it's game over, when people no longer are using or can use credit cards. But isn't it amazing that these banks are passing out credit cards and raising limits like it's candy? It's unbelievable. And we're looking at nearly 22% interest now is about the average. About 22% is the average interest rate now on a credit card, going up beyond 29%. It's amazing how these credit card companies are continuing to raise credit lines, pass out credit cards. But at some point, people are no longer going to be able to afford these credit cards. What happens when they can't make the minimum payment? How many people have 8, 10, 12, 15 credit cards out there? How many people are using credit cards now to pay their essentials, the utility bills, the grocery, the rent, everything, you name it, the car payment? People are living, surviving off credit cards, and they've been doing this for quite a while now, and it's going to come to an end. Used car prices tumble most since start of health crisis, record drop for month of June. Again, this is just another indicator of the weakening economy and the weakening consumer. Cox Automotive reported today that used car prices plunged 4.2% in June. This is the biggest drop in 3 years. And if you've driven by a used car lot lately, you're beginning to see the used car lots fill up. Some of the new car lots are beginning to fill up. Many are not, but we're beginning to see even more new cars hit. But used cars are piling up. And if you look at some of these videos, watch some of these videos with the auto auctions and the repossessions that are hitting these auto auctions, they don't even know where to put all the cars. Year over year prices, if we look at sports cars, year over year prices, sports cars, this is used, down 14.8%. Compacts down 12.6%, midsize down 12.2%. So we're beginning to see prices of used cars come down. Here's another one today, New York Post. Disney theme parks surprisingly empty this summer. Walt Disney World and Disneyland have seen significantly shorter wait times to get on rides. Smaller crowds have descended on the Walt Disney Company's U.S.-based theme parks. The thinning traffic is bad news, it says, for the entertainment giant, which is in the middle of a $5.5 billion cost-cutting spree that has resulted in thousands. What do they lay off? 7,000 people, all across different sectors of Walt Disney. In 2019, the average wait time to board a ride was 47 minutes. I couldn't even imagine wasting 47 minutes of my time waiting to get on a ride at Disneyland. In 2022, it went down to 31 minutes. You know what it is this year? Right now, it's 27 minutes. Think about that, 27 minutes this year. In 2019, it was 47 minutes, 20 minutes less to get on a ride. What does it cost to even get into Disneyland? I don't even know. I think it's about $150 for a ticket to get into Disneyland. It's ridiculous. And, you know, people will tell me, I can't afford to have an ounce of gold. I can't afford to have any silver. I can't afford to put any barterable items away or emergency food. JB, I just don't have any money to prepare. Yet these are the people waiting 27 minutes to get on a ride at Disneyland and paying $150+ just to get into the park. And they say they don't have anything. Yet they'll show us all the pictures on social media that they're at Disneyland hugging Mickey Mouse. Here's another one today. Americans spend an average of $91.75 on Amazon each month. These are the top highest spending states. I won't get into that, but the average American is spending almost $92 a month on Amazon, buying stuff they don't need, buying dumb stuff, while 42% of this nation does not have $400 for an emergency put away. 99% don't have an ounce of silver, don't have an ounce of gold, don't have any emergency food, don't have 90 days of food stored away and water, have no preparations, have no skill sets, no survival skills, no survival food, nothing. Just hoping nothing bad happens. We are so unprepared as a nation, it is incredible. And I think that a lot of people are going to get what they deserve. And maybe this country really needs a wake-up call. Maybe it really does need a reckoning. Maybe people really do need to feel some pain so that they will actually really appreciate what they have and understand what they did have. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose what they have and they're never going to get it back. We're never going back to normal now, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading into a new place, uncharted water. And the people who just could not stop spending, the people who didn't want to take the time to understand what is going on, how this is all playing out, the people who just wanted to go to Disneyland and buy dumb stuff on Amazon and not put away for a rainy day, no cash reserves, no gold, no silver, no emergency food, no skill sets, nothing, no net worth, nothing. These people are going to pay a very severe price here. And as I open this video talking about this gentleman who's in La La Land, believing that we're not going to head into a Mad Max scenario when we're already in one, this is the delusion that people are in and the bubble that they live in. And it's going to cost them a lot. And these are going to be the debt slaves. These will be the people working till they're 90 years old. These will be the people that, you know, if things get bad, are going to have a very, very difficult time surviving what is about to happen in this country. We're going to go through a severe depression, ladies and gentlemen. Don't count on too many people coming to your rescue, especially, you know, when I think about the churches and how the churches have checked out and the churches have just become corporations and the churches are not waking people up. The churches are not preparing. I think every church should have a massive supply of reserves of food and water for the congregations. And they should be talking about what's happening right now. They should be preparing. These should be base camps for their congregations when the lights go out, when it hits, when people hit bottom, that they'll have their church to turn to. They don't have this. And, you know, shame on the churches in America. Just the braggadocious attitude that they have, the corporate attitude that they have, chasing the dollar, fill up that offering plate, tell you what you want to hear, don't offend anybody, and make sure that nobody's prepared for what is coming. Shame on the churches in America. If you belong to a church that's preparing, God bless you, you're in 1 in a million. But they're going to be judged, and they're going to be judged highly because they're in a position where they should be leading and warning people for what is coming, and they're not doing that. And shame on the churches in America for not doing that. You're misleading your congregations. You're making sure your congregations are not prepared. And I'm sure that many of the pastors in these churches will probably jump on their private jets or they'll lease a private jet and they'll go where they have to go because they're going to have the money and the wherewithal to do it, while the people in the congregation are going to sit there broke mentally, physically, and spiritually and financially, with no plan. Shame on those churches and those ministers, pastors, priests, reverends, rabbis who are not preparing their congregations. Shame on you. You're going to be judged for this. I'm going to leave it there today. You don't need a church. You don't need a rabbi, a pastor, or a priest to tell you what's happening. You can see with your own two eyes. You can feel it in your heart, your spirit. You need to be preparing for you. You need to be looking out for you now. The church, the politicians, the system is not going to save you, ladies and gentlemen. It has sold you out. It is breaking down right before our very eyes. How is a system that is literally breaking down, melting down right now going to save you? It cannot. Only you can save you. So be walking close to God. Thank God today for everything you have, and make sure you have a good circle of friends, because this thing is going to be brutal. It's going to be biblical without a doubt. So be prepared. You know what you have to do. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, share this video, make sure you subscribe. And as always, I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you very, very soon. Comment down below. Love to know what you think. God bless.